The Wellness Hour. An in-depth discussion with today's top physicians and medical leaders. And now, your host, Randy Alvarez.
You're watching The Wellness Hour, leader in medical news and information. I'm Randy Alvarez. Today's topic, new breakthroughs in minimally invasive facial rejuvenation. With us, we have an expert on the topic. She's the person I go to for my Botox, Peggy Murgo. Peggy, welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me, Randy.
Always a pleasure to have you on the show. Now, we've known each other almost 10 years now.
Almost 10 years.
And my Botox is wearing off.
Oh.
And so I said, you know, we've got to do it. So after the show, we're going to do some Botox
You've
as
got
well.
it.
So at the Cosmetic Surgery Institute of Palm Desert, I mean, you pretty much do all the different procedures there,
Yes.
right, when it comes to cosmetic plastic surgery?
Yes. I help out in the operating room, but primarily I'm doing the fillers now and the Botox.
All right. Now,
Majority.
in this economy, do you find that people are still wanting to look good, invest in themselves?
Absolutely. I've heard that vanity always wins, and it seems to be true, especially in the desert.
Well, you know, looking young and rested and vibrant, I mean, you know, if you're going to hire people, someone's looking for a job, you hire the person, with all things being equal, same education, et cetera, that looks like they have the most energy.
Right.
Oftentimes.
And studies prove that scientifically. Unfortunately, people who look like they have more energy and often youth get hired first.
Let's begin then with Botox. They've got this new type of Botox is out. Tell me a little bit about it.
Okay, well, of course, Botox has been the standard. Well, for the last 10 years, I believe it's been FDA approved in the States, but it's been used before that. And now we have Dysport in the past year or so. So Dysport is the same drug. It's Botox, well, botulism toxin type A.
Do you like it, though? I mean, does it work
I
better?
do.
Am I going to get that today, or am I going to get Botox?
You're going to get Botox today.
Okay.
But I do like Dysport. I like them both, and there's not a lot of difference between the two.
So why is it you think you get better results than a lot of people? Because everybody says
thank
that.
you,
I mean, everybody
Randy.
agrees Peggy is the Botox person in the desert.
Well, I've been doing Botox for about 15 years now. I've been
Oh, really?
injecting it a long time, and I think experience does help. I get to know how the muscles work on each individual person, and I can target where there is the most movement. And when you do that, it often lasts the longest. And then you often have to inject somebody 1 or 2 times before you really get to know how well their muscles work and how quickly they'll relax and how much to use.
Okay. So any new places? I mean, you've got forehead, obviously, the crow's feet.
Well, every year there are more and more uses for Botox. You can do the neck, well, they're off-label, so to speak, but you can do probably anywhere on the body.
What about you? What are you doing, though? Mostly just the face?
I stick with facial, and we do underarms for hyperhidrosis. If you particularly sweat under your arms, you can do Botox, and it usually lasts
you done
about
it before?
6 months. Yes.
And it works?
It absolutely works. It's a
So
popular thing
sweaty
to do.
underarms.
Yes. you
Are
can
men
do
doing
Botox.
this?
Mostly men.
Okay, let's talk about fillers now for a second.
Okay.
Tell me
A
what's going
lot of
on.
new and exciting things with fillers. The past few years, the most exciting thing is the liquid facelifts. Radius and Sculptra are the most popular ways to go. And there's so many things you can do with it now. It used to be that we focused just on nasolabial folds and the marionette lines on the corners of the mouth, but we're realizing now you've got to look at the face as a whole, and often what happens as we age, one doctor says we get Mr. Peanut Head. Our
Okay.
face starts to lose some volume, and we kind of get this peanut.
Is that why you
forehead.
brought that, by the way?
And that's why I brought my model here.
Okay. Well, this is interesting. I haven't
we
seen this.
happen
Let's
to
see this.
lose volume in our face. We get this Mr. Peanut Head shape that we take on, especially if you're thinner and you're fit and you're aging. The
Okay.
temples get hollow around the nose, and around the eye sockets it gets hollow, as well as the lower face, but people come in and they're pointing to the lower face. So I often use my model to kind of demonstrate some of the aging things that are happening.
Well, my problem with fillers, though, and I think I've told you this before, is I could spot them. They look like puffed out faces.
That's a bad job. If you look like a blowfish, somebody has done something wrong with your
Or the
fillers.
profile looks bad, like it's too built out or something.
Right, and to me, those are errors in correction. It should look natural, to where people will look at you and they can't figure out what's different, but they know you're looking good. They think maybe you've changed your hair or you went on vacation, and they can't put their finger on it. That's an excellent job.
So with Botox and fillers,
Yes.
you think you could make somebody look 10 years younger?
Absolutely.
With the right kind of person?
Absolutely. And it's individual. It's different for everyone.
And so with women, and by the way, what's the age range people start coming in for fillers? And what do they want?
Ooh, you know, You see women sometimes as young as 25, 26 that are very thin that begin to get deeper nasolabial folds. It's genetic.
That's the folds right here.
The folds right from your nose to your mouth. But then you may see somebody who's 70 years old that doesn't have that issue. So it's very genetic whether you get these things or not. And usually the youngest would be around the age of 24, 25, and they can do a little bit of a hyaluronic acid, just a fine little filler. The most common age I'm going to say is 40 and up.
Okay, now let's talk a little bit about those. The two most popular are what?
Well, for the liquid facelift, it's definitely Radius and Sculptra.
Okay, tell me about Sculptra and Radius. I mean, what are you doing? The upper face?
Okay, you can do very similar things with both products. And to me, if you have some volume in your face to start with, you're just getting hollow in certain areas, you can do a product like Radius, and it's a quick fix, so to speak. You do 3 or 4 syringes and you can do a liquid facelift. If somebody's very thin, like long distance runners or super athletes that don't have a lot of body fat, or just by nature they're very thin, you need to start with a product like Sculptra that will build from nothing and give them volume.
And this is for the upper, for bags or hollows underneath?
Anywhere on the face. You can use it just about anywhere on the face.
Are you doing this under the eyes in this area?
Yes, absolutely.
Because a lot of people don't do it under the eyes.
Well, what I find, like the old mistakes we used to make are just feeling the nasolabial folds and just feeling the marionette lines. And what would happen is you get too full through here, but everything else looks old.
Good point.
Now we're doing the fillers, the liquid facelift, where you get under the eyes and out here on the face and the temples so that everything falls in symmetry.
So liquid facelift, because it sounds a little gimmicky to me. But is that what you're calling it, like in your advertising, things like that?
Yes, it's a good way to put it because literally it lifts your face. If you're getting some volume in your upper face, it's going to lift your face.
How so? How so? Oh, you mean the appearance?
The
It'll give you an appearance
and it will lift to some degree. If you're stimulating collagen in your upper and outer face, it's going to pull this up. Literally, it will pull your face up. Not as much as a facelift, but it will give you some facelift.
How often do you do the procedures we're talking about right now?
Oh, sometimes
like
3 or 4 times a day. Almost
really?
Every day. It's
every
very
day.
popular. And there's a place for all of the fillers. It's very individual, but the liquid facelift are the bigger fillers like Sculptra and Radius, and we do it almost every day.
You know, I was at the Daily Grill for lunch not too long ago, and somebody comes up and they recognize me and they say, "Oh, I watch your show," and she goes, "I go to Peggy," and I go, "Oh, I love Peggy." She whispers, she goes, "I'm 55." And I go,
wow.
Unbelievable. I mean, she looked,
she
40
terrific.
tops, right? And but so there's a lot of people. So if you're in the desert and you see people that are in their 40s, 50s, and they look 10 years younger, chances are they've gone to Peggy.
Oh,
you think so?
I'd like to think so. Or to one of our doctors.
So who's a candidate then for the liquid facelift?
Well, when you come to see me, you'll sit in the chair and there's bright overhead lights and I can look at your face and talk to you about the issues that I see. Sometimes it's a need for the surgeons and they're beyond something that I can do, and I'm very honest with people.
But that's not good news, right?
Well,
I'm sorry you're going to need surgery.
I don't want to, if liquid fillers are going to be like trying to put out a bonfire with a squirt gun, I don't want to do that to somebody. I'm very honest that they really should talk with one of our surgeons. But if they have just some things like hollowing of the temples and under the eyes and some nasolabial folding and jowliness or some emptiness, I can certainly get that back in proportion with the liquid fillers.
Okay.
And do a liquid face. And a little bit of Botox usually to soften the lines.
All right. Okay. And and it's called, I'm sorry, the two things we're talking about.
Sculptra and Radius.
Sculptra and Radius.
Are the most popular. And
how long do they last?
They each last at minimum 2 years.
2
and
years.
Sometimes longer. So you get the most for your money from these products.
And what about downtime?
Downtime, sometimes there is no downtime. I'm going to say more than 50% of the time there's not a lot of bruising and swelling.
So in a perfect situation, somebody can go back to work?
Go right back to work.
Really?
Yes. But there are those people, especially people that take fish oils and a lot of aspirin and things that are blood thinning, that will get some bruising and swelling.
You gave me a bruise one time when you gave me Botox.
Right. If you take Motrin, aspirin, ibuprofen,
I took a lot of aspirin that day.
Will make you bruise very easily, and you can hide that with makeup.
Plus, I didn't ice. You have to ice too afterwards?
I like to ice immediately afterwards to eliminate as much bruising and swelling as possible.
Yeah, because it doesn't hurt anymore, does it?
It shouldn't hurt anymore. We use topicals, and it's mixed with lidocaine, and it's quite comfortable. In fact, I think Botox might hurt a little bit more than some of the fillers do these days.
So when you do this consult for the fillers, what are the frequently asked questions that these women want to know about, or men?
I think the number one question is, am I going to look fake? Am I going to have great big lips? Am I going to have great big cheeks like I have cheek implants? Those are the biggest fear that people present with when they come to me. And it's very common. In fact, almost everybody asks that question.
They don't want that. Now your lips look very natural.
Thank you.
Now you had somebody else in the office do.
Yes, I do have some filler in my lips, and I absolutely love it.
But what's nice about this too is it shows your taste. You don't like that big lip look.
No, I'm very conservative. I
don't think anybody does.
I consider myself very conservative, and if somebody really wants an overdone look, I will refer them to some of my colleagues in the desert. But I don't want to do that to somebody. I don't think it looks attractive.
So you want it to look natural.
I want it to look very natural and understated.
So how soon can you see results with fillers?
Well, some of the fillers are instantaneous. You'll see your result immediately. In fact, when I put Radius in, for example, in the cheekbone area, I'll do one side and I'll give them the mirror and they can see instantly what it does for them. It lifts the face, it restores where people tend to get a little bit flat under their eyes, and they can see it immediately. And then I'll kind of work the way down through the nasolabial fold and the corners of the mouth and the hollow of the cheek, and they can look in the mirror and they can see one side of their face corrected and restored versus the other side before we finished. And they always get excited. Thank God I've not had anybody yet say I don't like it. They've been happy.
So if somebody like on a Monday could come in,
yes,
and they're going to get this liquid facelift, that weekend they can go out, they're ready to get married or whatever the event that they're going to do.
I do tell people on the initial consult, and they may or may not inject that day, if they have to look fabulous in the next 2 or 3 days, they may want to wait in case they bruise or swell. There's always that chance. Most people look good instantly, but there's always a chance of bruising or swelling. So within a week, you're free and
So
clear.
they look rested, younger, prettier? I mean, what do you hear?
That's just like they did 5 years ago or more. They look younger, they look fresher, they look more awake. People often look tired as they age because they get that hollowness and emptiness. And I do need to say some of the fillers like Sculptra, which I love, it's a fabulous filler, that's slow growing. You'll see a difference in about 4 weeks. It grows in your own collagen.
Yeah, tell me about this. Help me understand this how that works.
Sculptra, it's basically, I was told, like if you want to seed your grass. Your lawn is kind of brown and you throw grass seed and it grows in. In a few weeks you have a lush green grass. Well, that's how Sculptra works in your face. It's kind of like seeding the collagen in your face and it grows in.
Interesting. So usually used underneath the eyes for hollows?
Right. It's very safe to use around the temples, above the brow, under the eyes, anywhere on the face just about except for the lips you can use Sculptra.
Okay, but the ultimate, would you say, is fat transfer? That's one of the things that Dr. Zachary has been doing.
I believe that's one of the most perfect corrections. I think if you have a choice, I would probably always go in the way of fat transfers with the surgeons. If you were going
Let's talk lightly on that, about what he does there.
We do a lot of it, and the doctors are just phenomenal. And they take some fat from somewhere on your body. Some people don't have a lot of fat, so you have to search for it. You take fat from somewhere on your body, and they process it and inject it into your face where you're hollow, where the fat used to be, and it instantly corrects, and it lasts longer than most of the fillers. So it's the most natural-looking, best correction you can do.
It's very smooth, very nice.
Very smooth. If in the hands of our surgeons.
Then I'll be happy,
a little bit. Then
I'll be happy.
Oh, then you'll be happy because all it's missing is a little bit of hollow under your eyes.
Sometimes I look a little more haggard than other days.
Because you're thin and fit and you exercise all the time, and that's what happens. You tend to get a little more hollow in the face when you're very fit.
Okay, so that happens. Yeah. Interesting. Okay, so we're going to take a quick break. We come back, more about lasers and what you're doing for skin resurfacing. Yeah. You're watching The Wellness Hour, the leader in medical news and information. I'm Randy Alvarez. Up next, what you need to know about lasers. We'll be right back. You're watching The Wellness Hour, the leader in medical news and information. I'm Randy Alvarez. We're talking about new breakthroughs in minimally invasive facial rejuvenation. With us, we have Peggy, and you are at the Cosmetic Surgery Institute of Palm Desert. All right. Okay. Now, you do my Botox. I've mentioned that. I send people from San Diego. I said, if you're going to get Botox, you have to go see Peggy.
Thank you.
And
they do come. Thank you
That's
very
true.
much.
That's right. If you want to, and with me, I don't like expression. I guess some people want expression. Is that right?
Some people want some expression, true.
I mean, I want none at all. I want to look like the woman from the Desperate Housewives.
The redhead with no expression.
Yeah. But they say that's a bad look.
That is possible. That most people these days are wanting a little bit of expression, but there are still those that don't want any wrinkles.
I don't want any at all.
And we can do either.
Okay, good. All right. No lines. So when should somebody, we're talking about liquid facelift, which is adding volume with these fillers to different areas of your body. or different areas of your
Of the face.
And but when should somebody
And
do
hands too. You can
Really?
do hands too.
Really?
We do, especially radius in the back of the hands. You can do fat or radius because a lot of people, as they age, their face they've maintained and they look young, but their hands are looking older and give away their age. So if you can remove some spots with some laser and add some filler like radius, the before and after pictures are phenomenal. It restores their hands, and that it lasts 1 year to 2 years.
1 to 2 years.
And
Okay.
that's a big change.
So when should somebody do something about it? At what age? And who benefits the most?
Well, it's this. None of this is mandatory, and when people come in, they ask when they should start. I said when it bothers you, and I like
Okay.
the way you put it. When you look in the mirror and you see your mother or your father, and you think, oh, it may be time to do a little something to roll back the clock. And I personally like staying ahead of it. When you notice it's coming on, and every time you look in the mirror, something's jumping out at you, that's a time to do something, I believe. You can do the little things at that time that are minimally invasive. If you let it go on too long, you have to be much more invasive and be referred on to the surgeon in some cases. So if you start when you're younger and you do things to prevent that aging, for example, the lines that get between your eyebrows, if you start Botox when you see the lines, they may not get deep enough to where you'd have to surgically correct them someday. You can start ahead of time and prevent that from happening.
Now, at the break, you told me about young patients.
Yes, some of the most phenomenal stories I've witnessed are, especially a woman and a man, 18-year-old girl, I want to say a 23-year-old young gentleman that had almost a Neanderthal look because their furrow in their brow was so deep that they were teased in high school, and somebody mentioned Botox to them and they'd come to see me for the first time. It's life-changing for them. It opens up their brows, it smooths the line, it softens the look, and those are people that are going to come back.
Are you ever surprised, by the way, at the changes you see?
Yes.
Really?
I'll see people for the first time. They'll come in and they'll do a few fillers and they'll do a little bit of Botox. I'll see them maybe in a month or so. They've signed up for some skincare with our estheticians, and I don't even recognize them because now their hair is done. They're wearing makeup. They've changed their dress, gotten their nails done. It just changes their whole aura.
So it's a big boost in the self-esteem.
It's a big boost to the self-esteem just to freshen your look and look a little younger. It just does something for the psyche, and it's really fun to be a part of that.
You know, older people are being replaced by younger people in the workforce all the time.
Unfortunately.
And I think if you could do something, invest in yourself. I mean, to me, just it's maintenance. But you want to look natural, though. That's the key
and if
here.
you think about it, you take your car to the car wash once a week and you'll do a deep cleaning, wax and shine, maybe every 3 or 4 months. Why wouldn't you take care of your skin and your face like that? You see that every day. You can change clothes, but you can't change your skin. So maintenance, prevention.
Okay, now lasers. You do some lasers. Tell me about that.
Lasers, yes. The erbium resurface laser. For years, our doctors, they can do a pretty deep laser resurface for people with very deep lines, which lifts and tightens and erases the wrinkles like a big eraser. It's the newest, most progressive laser in a resurface. I do the mini resurfacing, where it's a 50 to 70 micron laser, and your downtime is maybe 5 days to a week.
So like under the eyes with a little bit of crepiness.
Especially for fine lines under the eyes, or those fine lines that are starting above the lip that are quite common, or just changes in color or fine lines from sun damage. It erases and tightens, and it's actually good for your skin and cancer prevention, skin cancer.
Interesting. Okay, what about men? Are more and more men coming in?
More and more men are coming in as the years go by. More and more men. That's a good part of my clientele.
Would you say, though, it's only about 30% overall men?
I'm going to say maybe closer to 40% now.
Really?
Originally it might have been 10%.
Who started that? Do you think I started it when I first went in?
You may have.
Everybody else said, "Oh my God, Randy Alvarez is doing it."
I know, and you always,
kidding,
and you
I'm kidding,
never age. 10 years I've known you. You look younger now than you did then.
No, that's there's probably some truth to that. No, I'm just kidding
it's
around.
True.
It's because of your
absolutely true.
Botox. But I let it wear off, and that's not good. Okay, so lasers, putting it all together, and what are those? When should somebody get a laser? I mean, when? Is IPL not enough, and some of these fractionated lasers not enough?
There's a lot of those light lasers that you can do with no downtime that rejuvenate, stimulate collagen, but it doesn't really erase. You need something a little more invasive if you're going to truly erase lines that are etched in there for quite some time. If you have lines from sun damage, or your lines are not going away with just a little bit of Retin-A, you probably need a more aggressive laser, and a mini laser is a good place to start. If you've got years and years of sun damage and deep lines, you want a more aggressive laser, would refer you to our surgeons. Another benefit of getting the laser is the collagen stimulation that happens. There's a couple of benefits. One is that as you're aging, our collagen is slowing down, and that process kind of perpetuates itself. So as you're aging, the aging perpetuates. If you do things to stimulate your collagen, say a facial resurface laser, you're stimulating that collagen and you're putting it in reverse, and now your collagen is stimulated to grow. So you're stopping and you're slowing down that aging process. Also, you're tightening, you're firming, you're erasing potential skin cancers. Many, many benefits versus doing a more aggressive going on to a facelift. This is something you can do prior to needing the facelift or in addition to your facelift to smooth out your skin.
Okay, now with catching people early on in their 30s, 35, do you think if you catch them early enough, you can make somebody 40 stay around that 40 look for the next 10, 15 years?
Well, I would like to think I'm perpetually 35. I think many women and men, as they're getting older, would like to try to maintain that look of being in the 30s. As you're getting
I know your age, and you look about 20 years younger than your age.
Well, thank you
so good for
much.
you.
But I think in the 30s is a good place to stay. I think you don't want to be looking 18 when you're 50, or at least I wouldn't. I think 35 is a good happy medium.
You know, I have a lot of questions about lips, though.
Yes.
I mean, is this now becoming one of the most popular procedures?
Still a very popular thing to do because, as you know, men and women, as we age, we often lose our lip, especially the upper lip. It becomes almost invisible on some people. And it's a sign of aging, especially if you get those, they call them smoker lines, but you don't have to smoke to get those. It's more, again, genetic and sun damage. So hyaluronic acid is probably the most popular way to correct lips, and you can do it subtly so that you don't look done, so that you can have a natural look and just soften those lines and give your lips a little bit of volume. You can do more permanent things like Artefill or silicone, or there's some permanent fillers you can do in the lips now. Also, surgically, there's some things you can do. Sometimes from your nose to your lip, the line will elongate, and we can refer you to the surgeon, and they can do some beautiful things with fat and with a shortening procedure. So many things you can do with lips, and still very popular.
Now, what do you think, if you had to say, and I know you don't want to talk negatively about what's going on out there, but if there's a mistake being made by practitioners in general, about lip, and you've been doing this for what, 15 years now at least?
Yes.
At least, okay. So you have a lot of experience. What's the biggest mistake that's going on?
I think,
in your opinion,
overfilling to me has always been the biggest mistake.
Overfilling
or radically changing the shape, where your lips look like the Joker and they turn up way too much on the side, or they're just.
But do women want that, by the way?
I would hope not, but I think if you ended up with lips like that, you wouldn't want to admit, perhaps, that you didn't like it.
I mean, 18-year-olds don't have lips like that.
I don't like it. I love Angelina Jolie's lips, but those are her own lips. Not everybody can do that and look natural.
Are there certain people in the desert, by the way, that they're just known for giving big lips?
Yes, and if people come in and they're requesting really big, full lips, more than I'd be comfortable doing, because I just wouldn't want to do that, I refer them on, because there are people that are willing to do that.
You know, I'm a guy, I need to let women in on this. Nobody likes those lips. I mean, nobody. I mean, look, I talk to guys. Nobody likes that kind of a lip. That's not somebody you could bring home to mother. Is a woman with huge lips.
Great big lips that don't fit the face.
Yeah, that's subtle. I mean, subtle is better. I mean, yours, are just natural. Natural.
Thank you. And they're enhanced, but I think they look natural. They're understated. They're full, but they're not so big that they stand out when I walk into the room.
So you don't want to go too high either. It seems like even a little bit, but if it's too high on the lip, or they seem to, I don't know if it's leaking into there.
And sometimes if you try to put too much in a lip, your lip is your lip. And if it's small, you can't put that much filler in it. And if you try to, it will move up and it will fill from your nose to your lip, and you get a duck kind of a look. And that's from overfilling the lip many times.
So are women trying to change their look, or they think the big lips make them look younger? That's my question to you.
I think a few years ago especially, they thought the big lips made them look younger. It was the popular thing to do, but many of them did it permanently, and now that's the way they are.
Yeah, a famous person that just got their lip surgery to...
Right, and the only way you can correct that is hopefully surgically. Your surgeon can correct that for you, but why do that? Just do it right the first time.
Okay.
Or start with a temporary filler and make sure it's something you really love before you go to permanent.
Okay, and you're known for natural results. We've talked. You said people that come to me want natural results. They don't want
Right. I believe I'm known for natural results, and if they want that real, sometimes the Hollywood fakey look from some of the surreal shows that are on, I would refer them elsewhere.
Is that right? Have you ever done that? Really?
I won't do that to people. I will refer them. If they want that look like you see on some of the reality shows, I'll refer them, because there are doctors that specialize in that. I prefer a more natural, conservative look, so that's something I'm not comfortable doing.
Okay,
I don't like
good.
the big fake lips and the big fake cheekbones. I prefer a natural.
Natural.
Yes.
Final message, we're out of time. Somebody watching this, they don't like the way they're aging, they don't want surgery. What do you say to them?
Oh, come on in and talk to us. Come on in for an evaluation. It's complimentary. You can talk with myself, 1 or 2 or 3 of the doctors. Get some opinions, get some ideas. There's little conservative things you can do. There's big things. There's so many things based on your needs, and we'll be very honest with you.
Now, 2 plastic surgeons there. They're saying you guys have the dream team now.
Yes,
These 2 young
absolutely.
dynamos. I've met them.
And they're phenomenal. And they're nice, and they're kind, and they're genuine. And
Good
they'll be
guys.
honest with you and what they feel your needs are.
Okay, good. I want to thank you for coming on the show. Good stuff.
Thank you,
Really
Rick.
good
It's always
stuff.
a pleasure.
Thanks, Peggy. You've been watching the Wellness Hour, leader in medical news and information. I'm Randy Alvarez. If you would like to see this interview again online, you can visit our website at wellnesshour.com. And of course, we're always looking for new guests. For now, I wish you good health.
Thanks for watching The Wellness Hour, the leader in medical news with your host, Randy Alvarez, the authority on health issues.